Iran's supreme leader is warning the country's hardliners against undermining the nuclear negotiations, defending the president's course of action. The newly elected Hassan Rouhani is under serious domestic pressure for extending an olive branch to the United States. The hope in Tehran is that America will ease up on sanctions in return for more openness from Iran, whose nuclear program will again be in the limelight this Thursday. But with little enthusiasm at home, Rouhani may be facing a tough sell, as Paul Scott reports.
The Islamic Republic of Iran is ready to engage immediately in time-bound, orientated talks to build mutual confidence and the removal of mutual uncertainties.
Hassan Rouhani's recent speech at the UN General Assembly was said by many to represent a thawing in relations between Tehran and Washington, a sign that the Iranian leadership is keen to initiate warmer ties with the global community. But not everyone is keen for this to happen. Hardline conservative protesters threw eggs at the president upon his return to Tehran. And now those uncomfortable with the idea of increased diplomacy with Washington have launched the first ever Down with the USA contest. The idea is to find the most creative anti-US propaganda. Contestants are invited to submit photographs, posters, caricatures, poems, hymns and blogs, all relating to the slogan, Down with the USA. Over $3,000 are up for grabs for the winner.
There will be a prize for the best idea to mark Death of America, which will renew the concept of death to America because of the arrogance of America. The message is clear. For as long as the U.S. policies are hostile to us, we will continue to use this slogan.
Well, the slogan first came to prominence during the 1979 Iranian Revolution, when the US-backed government was overthrown. And since then, it's been widely used by critics of Washington. Those critics now fear Rouhani's willingness to re-engage with the US could undermine the revolution. They also see no reason to start diplomacy with a country that for years has portrayed Iran as the enemy and subjected the country to harsh economic sanctions over its nuclear program.
States like these and their terrorist allies constitute an axis of evil.
This administration has systematically imposed the toughest sanctions on Iran ever.
The United States is not going to lift the sanctions until it is clear that a very verifiable, accountable, transparent process is in place.
Despite efforts by the US government to suggest the sanctions aren't affecting the general population, food, clothes and even basic medicines have rocketed in price in recent years. And the leadership's attempt to engage with Washington has led to anti-American slogans and banners appearing all over Tehran in recent weeks, with Rouhani demanding many be taken down. And with talks over Iran's nuclear program looming large later this week, it's not just the international community President Rouhani has to convince. Paul Scott, RT.
As you heard in that report, within Iran there's deep skepticism of any good intentions from Washington when it comes to the country asserting its right to atomic energy. One former advisor to Iran's nuclear negotiating team told us that's because people see the US as engaged in constant doublespeak.
There is a group in Iran that is deeply suspicious of the United States based on its history of long-standing animosity toward Iran. There is a widespread perception in Iran that the U.S. is engaged in a double-speak toward Iran. On the one hand, talking about engagement and respecting Iran's rights, and on the other hand, adopting a very inflexible and hardline negotiation strategy that demands much concession from Iran without expressing willingness to, show any flexibility on the issue of sanctions relief. We have seen a statement by the top U.S. negotiator, Wendy Sherman, that the U.S. has not offered any tangible sanctions relief to Iran at the last negotiation round in Geneva. And that should be very disheartening to many Iranians who are looking for concrete, tangible signs of good faith toward Iran by the United States.
The worsening economic situation inside Iran means the country's finding other ways to make ends meet. China has reportedly agreed to finance various projects by unblocking 22 billion euros of oil assets. Beijing and Tehran deal in the yuan, not the dollar, so the sanctions don't affect China's business with its third biggest crude oil supplier. Political analyst Saeed Mohammed Marandi says the US agenda is splintering.
This is one of many signs that the U.S.-imposed sanctions is not working, and it's beginning to fall apart. Not that the United States wants this to happen. The United States wants to make ordinary Iranians suffer as much as possible. They want to devastate the Iranian economy, and they've already succeeded in killing people because, for example, Iran has had great difficulty in importing medicines. So the Americans are definitely upset with this, but as time goes on, we are seeing increasingly countries moving away from the United States, companies ignoring the United States, and even individuals who are investing in Iran without taking the sanctions regime into consideration.